We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Wednesday, November 5th here in Seoul. I'm Lee Soo-jin, and this is News Generation. Joining us today is Ji-yeon.
Happy Hump Day!
Happy Hump Day. Also, Won-bin's with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's already Wednesday, we're officially halfway through the week, and as we push through the midweek slump, it's the perfect time to take a step back from our busy routines. In the midst of deadlines, commutes, and endless notifications, it can be refreshing to pause and reconnect with the roots of where we came from, the stories, art, and traditions that have shaped our culture over centuries. So Ji-yeon, when you hear the words Korea's cultural heritage, what comes to mind first?
Well, when I think about Korea's traditional heritage, the mother of pearl inlay comes to mind. It's quite elegant, timeless, and beautifully reflects Korean craftsmanship. It is known as jage in Korean. Many Koreans living abroad still adore and love these exquisite designs, keeping them close to their hearts. And the expats, foreigners too, love the gentle glow and elegance of the patterns. In fact, my father-in-law actually used to craft mother of pearl pieces back in the day, so it's quite special for me. So it's a heritage that is quietly shines, just like the people who cherish it.
That's beautiful. So what about you, Won-bin?
I definitely agree with jage crafts. It's really beautiful. And I think another heritage in Korea that really comes to our mind when we think about it is hanbok. It's a traditional Korean cloth with very unique, distinctive design and colors that makes it stand out a lot. And because it's a traditional type of cloth, we don't wear it that much in 2025, but we can still see them once in a while, usually from big family events like a wedding or 돌잔치, which is the baby's first birthday ceremony.
So there really is a wide range of treasures to appreciate when it comes to Korea's cultural heritage, from the flowing lines of hanbok to the charm of historical sites and the intricate beauty of mother-of-pearl craft designs. And each of these tells a story of Korea's artistry and history passed down through generations. To learn more about how these timeless traditions are being rediscovered and reimagined today, let's take a look at the screen. While learning about your country's history can be a meaningful way to appreciate your own culture, for many of us, it also brings back memories of endless exams and memorizing dates and names. That's probably why history, and by extension much of Korea's cultural heritage, wasn't always seen as cool. But that's starting to change. These days, Korea's traditional culture is being reinterpreted and embraced by the younger generation, turning heritage into a trend. So today on News Generation, we take a closer look at how Korea's cultural heritage is gaining global popularity, how young people in Korea are giving it a modern twist, and how this is leading people abroad to also develop a newfound interest in history. So as we just saw in the video, Korea's traditional culture is finding new life among the younger generation, blending the old with the new and capturing global attention along the way. It's especially noticeable among the millennials and Gen Zs, who are leading the trend of rediscovering and reinterpreting cultural heritage in creative ways. And they're proving that tradition can be both meaningful and modern, with more young people visiting museums lately. So how popular has Korea's cultural heritage become, and what's driving this popularity, Ji-yeon?
Good question. It's quite popular among Gen Z right now. They love it. They instantly fall in love with these items. Well, last year alone, the National Museum of Korea welcomed around 5 million visitors, ranking 5th in the world. Well, I do often visit the museum, and it's always crowded sometimes there, and are even more foreigners than Koreans. It's quite amazing how young people enjoy museums for both culture and style. And the museum's official goods brand that is, it is known as Mutju. The name comes from combining museum and goods. The National Museum of Korea has been a huge hit since 2022. And among them, the national treasure pensive Bodhisattva the Bodhisattva that is, remains a steady bestseller. And recently, the tiger and magpie characters from K-pop Demon Hunters have gone viral, with every new release selling out in minutes. I actually brought some two key rings that are
they're really
known
cute.
as Duffy
Adorable.
from the K-pop Demon Hunters. One is wearing a hanbok, and you can see there is a magpie on the top of their faces.
Very cute, very
It
cute.
is cute indeed. And I actually brought another one. There is cat kidding here. This is known as cat kidding. The cat is Korea's traditional hat. This is the one that was Jinwoo wore this in the K-pop Demon Hunters. It's very chic, elegant, and uniquely Korean. I love this. And even these days, many people in the film, Jinwoo wears this, as I mentioned before. That's why it's quite popular among those younger generation right now.
And even during APEC, G-Dragon wore a cut in his performance, and I thought it looked really cool.
It is indeed.
Right? So that's it's incredible. 5 million visitors, ranking 5th in the world, really shows how much interest there is in Korea's cultural heritage these days. I also went to the museum just around a month ago and to get actually those products, but I was unable to get them because they were sold out. So it's really cool to see them in person right now. And it's all about bringing a piece of that heritage into everyday life with these merchandise. And it seems these museum merch is becoming a whole new cultural trend. So, Wonbin, how big has this boom actually become, and what kinds of items are young museum visitors most drawn to?
Yeah, so we can definitely see the rise of love towards Korean history and heritage through the numbers in the news from the National Museum of Korea. So the National Museum of Korea is actually really well known for making good merchandise products that catches the new trend, aka 뮤즈, as Juan explained. And the net sales of 뮤즈 increased about 300% compared to 2021. And the most interesting part is the demographics, because only a certain age group was driving the numbers to the sky. So to take a deeper look, let's take a look at the stats. So we have a data from the National Museum of Korea, and according to them, 65% of the purchase was from people in the age between teenagers to up to the 30s. Now, and if we look into the Muse's products, we can understand why, because the National Museum of Korea is really good at just making like trendy, good products. For example, besides the examples that Juan showed us today, they made a 자개소반 무선 충전기, which means mother of pearl wireless charger. So it's like a little beautiful table that has a black design with the mother of pearl patterns on top. And it displays both the technology of wireless charging and the beauty of Korean history and heritage at the same time.
So just like with that charger, instead of seeing it as something old or difficult to understand, millennials and Gen Zs are finding ways to make it part of everyday life, even through practical items. And they're all inspired by traditional designs. And it's not just products, even certain artifacts are suddenly going viral online. So what's a culture relic that has recently captured so much attention on social media, June?
Well, recently there was one ancient relic has gone viral among Gen Z on social media. It's a 6th to 7th century pedestal bowl excavated from the royal palace back in Paekje, palace site of Paekje, that is. At first glance, it looks rather cracked and rough, and no one even knows its exact use. So it's far from the kind of fancy treasure we usually imagine. But still, it caught everyone's eye, everyone's attention, and won their hearts online. In just 2 weeks, it attracted nearly 30,000 comments online, showing how much attention it gained among Gen Z. And many say it reminds them of a cute character, which made it even more popular. It's amazing how Gen Z can breathe new life into old heritage like this, from museum shelf to social feed now.
Like what you said there. So that's really fascinating. It really shows how young people are engaging with culture heritage in their own unique way. Even something as simple and imperfect as that relic we just saw can become viral when people see it through fresh, creative lens. And it seems that that's not the only artifact catching their attention lately. Are there other cultural relics that have gained similar popularity among young people?
Yeah, there is one. Another cultural heritage or relic is called tou, which is from Sinla and Gaya in the 1600s. It's a type of miniature figures that they made in the past. For example, small animals or pets or masks or people dancing together, just different sceneries crafted into small figures. And what makes them so special? Well, usually they're quite small and cute, And they're quite similar to the small cute keychains or keyrings that many MZ generations love to attach nowadays. And it's pretty ironic because, as you can see in the videos, the relics that the young generations like, in terms of appearance, they're kind of silly and sometimes I would say adorably ugly. But at the end of the day, I see it as a good news.
So seeing what has gone viral is really interesting. So it's the quirky, imperfect items that are resonating most with young people, it looks like. I love that. It shows how millennials and Gen Zs are finding charm and personality even in the most unexpected artifacts. It's such a refreshing shift from the traditional idea of what's considered valuable or beautiful. It also highlights how personal and emotional connections can bring heritage closer to everyday life, turning something ancient into something relatable. And we were also curious to know how our viewers feel about this. So we asked on the Arirang News YouTube channel, which traditional Korean item would you love to have for yourself? And here's what the results showed. So more than half of the viewers, about 54%, said they love to have an animal-themed merchandise like tigers or magpies. Around 20% chose mini statues, while 16% picked fans featuring traditional folk art illustrations. The remaining 10% said they prefer other types of traditional items. So the results are quite interesting, but it's no surprise there really. Those cute animal designs we just saw are everywhere these days. They really seem to capture the fun side of Korean heritage, and it shows how people are drawn to items that might feel both traditional but also playful. And the fact that so many chose tigers and magpies really reflects how these classic symbols connect with younger generations. And it seems like this growing fascination with cultural relics has naturally sparked also a deeper interest in learning about Korea's history as well. So Jiyoung, could you tell us a bit more about how this trend is influencing people's curiosity about the past this time?
Of course. I like the point that when Wonbi mentioned it's adorable but ugly. Well, I think you mentioned a good point here. We are seeing more young people, more younger generation. They are discovering history in all kinds of ways, from weekend museum trips to online history channels and hands-on cultural workshops as well. They also love watching those history-themed contents. There are so many YouTube channels related to Korean history, and many Gen Z attend cultural festivals as well, inspired by tradition. And they're not just, learning about the past, they are actually experiencing it in creative, hands-on ways. So social media is also, turned history into something very shareable and exciting. It's quite amazing how curiosity about heritage is growing through fun and modern experiences.
So it's really fascinating how social media can spark such genuine curiosity about Korea's past, especially because usually history is considered a bit dreary sometimes. So a single post or trend can open the door for people around the world to learn not just about the art, but also the historical context behind it. And it seems like this kind of interest isn't limited to online spaces anymore. So how are foreign millennials and Gen Zs engaging with Korean traditions in real life?
Yeah, that's a great transition. And honestly, I didn't even have to do that much research for this question because we can just see foreigners enjoying Korean heritage and culture in our daily life. Apparently, they call it the hip tradition, which is enjoying traditional heritage in a trendy style. And I think the most common example in our daily life would be the Gyeongbokgung Hanbok tour. Gyeongbokgung is one of the most popular palaces that was built for the kings in the 1300s during the Joseon dynasty. Now, when we visit or walk by the palace, we can see a lot of foreigners walking around the palace wearing hanbok, which is the traditional Korean clothes. And what impressed me the most is that the fact that they wear it regardless of weather, 365 days a year, full hanbok outfit during summer, plus 30 degrees, and wearing, again, nothing but hanbok during cold winters as well. And it shows how passionate foreigners are into trying the Korean culture and history. Now, to us Koreans, it's obviously good news, and personally, it kind of gave me like mixed feelings. In a good way, obviously, because hanbok is very beautiful and colorful, obviously very vivid. But to us, it wasn't normal for foreigners with different ethnicities to actually wear it. So it's a very pleasing, pleasant new sight for us. And we can also see a lot of foreigners enjoying different heritages. For example, visiting local marketplaces or in traditional Korean dessert shops as well, because which would be pretty unfamiliar to them, but they're more than willing to try it out.
I agree. It's really cool to see that when you walk down Gyeongbokgung and see foreigners also do that. It makes me want to do it as well. It shows how Korean traditional culture has become something to experience, not just observe. And I love that even foreign visitors, like you said, are finding creative ways to enjoy and reinterpret Korean traditions. It's also amazing how activities like traditional market tours have become part of travel trends. And to learn more about this trend, we'll be speaking with a young person from the US who's currently living here in Korea to hear how she's experiencing Korea's traditional culture firsthand. And that conversation is coming up right after the break, so stay with us.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search out channel Arirang News. Click Posts. And cast your vote in the poll. Make a new type of news with us.
So joining us today is Brittany, who's originally from the US but is currently living in Seoul. So hi, Brittany. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So what do you think about how young Koreans are turning traditional culture into something fun and a bit trendy? And do you see a similar trend happening in the US?
I think it's really exciting to see how young Koreans are reinventing traditional culture and making it feel modern and accessible. My favorite instance of this is the integration of Korean culture in video games, like the Sorbin Mercy and Gotkama Diva skins in Overwatch, and the Dynasty Ari skins in League of Legends that have the characters dressed in hanbok. In the US, there's a bit of a similar movement, like drawing from Western folklore and fantasy games, but Korea really leans into it with style and confidence, not just respecting tradition, it's making it exciting again. And I think that's why Korean pop culture hits globally.
Interesting indeed. Well, then, Brittany, have you ever experienced traditional Korean culture, like wearing hanbok or visiting palaces here? And what was it like?
Yes, wearing hanbok at Gyeongbokgung was one of the first things I did when I visited Korea almost 10 years ago. I remember my friend and I being stopped by an entire class of students wanting pictures with us. And then when my mom visited about a year ago, I made sure to dress her up as well. I also got to paint my own fan during a cultural experience when I was in school at Sogang University.
I see. Well, thank you for the answers, Brittany. I was very surprised when I heard the game skins. I wasn't expecting it to hear in the news. But has your last question to you? So, has your interest in traditional Korean culture also sparked curiosity about Korean history? And if so, which historical events or periods interest you the most?
Absolutely. Learning about traditional culture definitely made me curious about Korean history as well. I've been especially interested in the Joseon period and how its philosophy, aesthetics, and social structure still influence modern Korea, from language and etiquette to architecture and art. And thanks to one of my favorite dramas, Mr. Sunshine, I especially find the late Joseon era fascinating, particularly the transition into modernization and the resilience of Koreans during that particularly difficult time. Being able to understand the historical context makes modern Korean culture feel even richer and more meaningful.
I agree. There's a lot to gain from Korean history as well. And so thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
So we just heard from a young person from the US sharing how Korea's traditional culture feels both familiar and new, a blend of history, creativity, and modern lifestyle. It's interesting to see how global audiences are connecting with these traditions in their own unique ways, making Korean heritage a shared experience across cultures. But Jun, why do you think cultural relics have become so popular among young people, though?
Well, if you think about younger generation, we might think that they will be into that digital world, they are into AI and also, global trends, but actually they're turning their eyes back to their own roots, where they belong to back in the days. And living in such a globalized world has made them realize how valuable their identity is. And as Korean culture keeps capturing the world's attention now, their pride and curiosity have grown stronger than ever. They don't just admire tradition now, they reinterpret it. You mentioned that before. They play with it and make it their own way. And it's kind of a beautiful shift indeed, turning heritage into something fresh, creative and deeply personal as well. So from history to hashtag, it's capturing hearts online.
It really is, and it also shows how globalization isn't erasing cultural identity, but actually strengthening the desire to reconnect with one's roots. As Korean culture gains more global recognition, that pride will naturally grow, and young people are finding creative ways to express it. And it seems like we kind of mentioned this before, social media has played a big role in that shift. So how are young people utilizing social media to make history and culture relics feel more relatable and more fun, Wonbin?
Yeah, so social media definitely plays a really big role here because we like to post, on social media, we always like to post the newest, trendiest, and the latest memes or skits on social media. And displaying traditional heritage on social media becomes a very unique, noticeable content. Now, this actually works as a funnel and naturally creates more inflow into the Korean culture. And since these heritage and relics became more familiar to people on social media, the entrance barrier for trying them has been significantly lowered as well.
And it shows how humor and creativity can make even complex historical topics feel fun and accessible, and that's so true. Looking at how it's spreading across social media, it shows how amazing how young people are using online language to kind of spread. What's so special about Korean history? It makes the past also feel so much more approachable. And so what other traditional elements do you think deserve more attention or could potentially go more viral?
Well, I'd love to see more hip traditions in the future, especially modernized hanbok, which is known as Arirang hanbok in Korean. Well, these days, hanbok isn't just for holidays or weddings. It's becoming a part of everyday style. I also often wear those modern hanbok at international conferences, meetings, on broadcast sometimes, and even when I go out with my children, I would love to wear hanbok. It feels both stylish and meaningful, a lovely way to keep tradition alive in everyday life. And I do believe that it would be amazing to see people wearing daily hanbok at cafes, libraries, in parks, or even at work here. So who says tradition can't walk the streets in style?
I agree. Do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, so you guys know in Korea, fine dining is a big trend, and I believe that Korea's 궁중요리, which is the royal cuisine of Korea, can be utilized a little bit more in the fine dining industry, because many people are probably very unfamiliar with 궁중요리, the viewers as well. So in short, they are basically dishes that are made to not only satisfy your palates, but your eyes as well. Very presentable and very demure and very carefully cooked to bring out the natural flavor and the texture of each traditional ingredients in the most non-destructive method. And I'm certain that a lot of foreigners would find this dish very charming as well. So I hope it's mentioned a little bit more on the mainstream media as well.
So it's pretty clear that Korea's traditional culture is no longer just something to study in textbooks. It's being rediscovered, reinterpreted, and brought to life by a new generation, both at home and abroad. So from quirky artifacts to playful museum experiences, these trends show that heritage can be fun, relatable, and even global. As young people continue to blend history with creativity, Korea's cultural treasures are finding fresh relevance and inspiring curiosity in ways we've never seen before. And it's even more meaningful that this widespread fascination with artifacts is sparking a renewed global interest in and awareness of Korea's history. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation, but News Gen will be back tomorrow with more stories and discussions. A big thanks to Chuhyun.
Pleasure's mine.
Coming in, and also Wonbin.
Thank you for having me.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you have the best day. We are News Generation.